This is Vargas, back again with something other than the pickup video. Like I mentioned before, with all the crazy health madness that's going on in the world, I have found myself limited on the stuff that I can buy, which is uh, good because I'm not spending any money. At least last week I didn't spend any money, and everything looks like to be the same this week except groceries. I need to buy groceries. Uh, but I'm trying to figure out what I can do as far as content. I mean, I already did the stuff pickup video that I got 2 weeks ago, and I do have stuff to talk about, but it's at our house. I still have two piles of movies. Well, three. Two piles of movies for me, one for Macabro, and some board games that I picked up many, many months ago that I just haven't been able to record, but everything's at the house. And because of all the health crisis, my wife wanted to be with her parents, so we are staying in my parents-in-law, with my parents-in-laws, with my parent-in-laws. Yes, I always add s's to stuff. I don't know why. Anyway, so I do have content, but I need to go there and record it, and I can't bring everything over here. So, yeah, I'm figuring out what I can do. What I do have and what I can talk about is an amazing gift that I got from Cloudy. I do consider myself very fortunate that I do have two amazing people that have sent me packages. One is, the first one was Movie John. Movie John sent me a really cool package that had books, comic books, movies. He sent that stuff my way, and it was cool. The other person is Clowny. Clowny also sent me a package, and I always feel weird about receiving that kind of stuff. Not because people want to send it to me, and I'm grateful for it, but because I know times are tough, and money's not as prevalent as everyone would like to have money. But and because I live in Mexico, and the international shipping would probably be a lot, so I always feel. I always feel kind of bad saying I appreciate it, but I don't want you to spend that much money. But my buddies Movie John and Cloudy there were like, don't worry about it. I want to send it to you. But I was able to figure out something on both occasions, so they don't send the thing international. I was able to get an address so they can send it in the U.S. and then just one of my wife's family members was able to pick it up and then bring it to me. So at least I was able to save them the shipping that way. And but I do feel weird asking, when someone says I want to send you something, I was like, but I don't want you to go through the effort because even though I do pretend to be, well adjusted and everything, I don't feel I deserve it, if that makes sense. But I appreciate it nonetheless, and super grateful. And I still keep the stuff that Movie John sent me, and I'll never get rid of that stuff, and I'll never get rid of the stuff that Clowny sent me, except the candy. The candy is gone. There is no candy left. Me and my kids blew through the candy. The only thing I have still is the Jawbreaker, which I haven't cracked that thing open, but everything else is gone. But I do have this I can talk about and make a quick review, and that's the Mini Game Anniversary Edition Entertainment System with 620 built-in games. This is, of course, a response to the Nintendo Classic Edition that came out a couple of years ago and was a big craze. Everyone, myself included, wanted the thing. Nintendo, I feel, really hit gold with that, and I just wish they would have made more units at the first run so that more people would get it. And I'm really looking forward and hoping and crossing fingers that they decide to release a Nintendo 64 Classic, which I've heard is not gonna. It's not very probable because the emulation for N64 is apparently very difficult, and Nintendo is not going. I don't feel their current business scheme is interested in doing another classic. They did the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, and I don't think they're going to do the N64 because they're really pushing for the Switch, which I also want to buy. But when the Nintendo Classic came out, it was a big craze, and they released this thing as a alternative to getting the for people that weren't able to get the Nintendo Classic. And that's very smart. You know, if you see that there's a demand for something, you make it yourself and you make money off of that. But this is not licensed in any way by Nintendo. But it's still a cool package. Clowny Nerf got this for me at his job. He said, you know, I know you're hurting to get the Sega Genesis Classic, which I eventually got as a gift for my wife. So I got this for you. I want to send it your way, and I'm super grateful that he did because it's actually pretty cool. So I already showed it when he got it. He said it didn't have a video cable, but I am a bit of a hoarder. In case you have not seen any one of my collections or pickup videos, he said it came with the power adapter, which is just a standard like a cell phone power charger, but it didn't have the audio video cable. And I was like, it's fine. I could probably find it later. And like I said, the hoarding part comes in because I tend to keep all the video cables that I've amassed through the years. The technology might, advance and everything, but you never know when you're going to need a video cable if you buy old technology and you're missing a cable. So this, the Nintendo Classic is HDMI. This one is audio video, and I was able to find in my cable bin one that is just fine. It's the video and the joint audio and video. So this is actually good because I've seen, after getting the thing, I wanted to figure out if there's anything special that I could do, because the instructions don't go that deep into it, as we'll soon see. One of the biggest things that I saw from some of the versions of this is that they would get like this really weird staticky noise. But with these cables, I didn't get that. It works just fine. And I mentioned different versions because after getting it, like I said, I was trying to figure out if there's anything like a secret menu system or something like that that I could work with, because that seemed interesting. And there's different versions. The one I got is the audio-video version. There's actually a version before this one, apparently, that only has 600 games. This one 600. This one has 620. Then there's another version that has 4 buttons instead of 2. And there's one more that's HDMI. So there's a bunch of these versions. But it also comes with 2 controllers. So that's, other than having more games than the Nintendo Classic. The Nintendo Classic had 30. This one has 620. The Nintendo Classic only had 1 controller. This one has 2 controllers. So that's a leg up on the Nintendo version. The cable length is I want to say that it's about the same size as the Nintendo Classic. Might be a little bit longer, looking at it better. One of the main complaints from the Nintendo Classic is that the controller cable was too short. This one does seem a little bit longer, so that's cool. And the quality of the controller is pretty good. It has a nice click. And has a nice feel. It has a very Nintendo feel. It has the matte sticker that the Nintendo has. So, yeah, quality, pretty good. And it has 2. And, of course, we have the console. An almost exact replica of the Nintendo Classic Edition. The only curious thing about this one is that the things here are upside down. This is the power button, and this is the reset button. When you're playing a game, you press this button, and it sends you back to the main menu. So that's weird. And the things here on the back are also backwards. And inverted. This is the video, this is the power cable outlet, and this is the video, but it's switched, so I don't know. But again, looking at those YouTube videos, a lot of these type of consoles are like that, so. And it has instruction. It's a plug-and-play console. You just plug it. You don't have to install anything. You don't have to update anything. You just plug it, and you're good. You're good to go. And it has English, the English part, and then it has I don't know. And I don't know. They are different. At least this symbol is different than this symbol. So I don't know if this is Chinese, and it doesn't look Japanese. I know that. There's a lot of symbols in this kanji that are not Japanese, so I'm guessing they're Chinese. And it has your list of 620 games. So I'm going to plug this in, and I'm going to show you the couple of games that this thing has. So I'll see you both. Okay, so this is the main menu for the 620 games that the mini console has. It has Contra 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 8. RoboCop 1, 2, 3, and 4. Didn't know they made 4 RoboCops. Ninja Turtles 1, which is the one that was made famous by the Angry Video Game Nerd. Then we have Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. This is amazing that this thing has it. Me and my brother played this one so much when we were kids in the arcades. It was this, X-Men, The Simpsons, then Turtles in Time. We were blown away when we rented this game and played it on our home, because we were like, oh man, they duplicated everything, and we were blown away at how awesome it was to play this game on our home, because our arcade games back in the day, and even today, they were made to eat up coins. You had to really practice the game and get good players to play with you to be able to beat it. And even in the arcade, I don't remember anyone, or at least myself, ever seeing someone beat the arcade game. But at home consoles, they dial down the difficulty a bit. So yeah, amazing that it's, because I have it on Nintendo, but it's still cool to have it on this one too. Then you have Double Dragon. Adventure Island is actually pretty cool. It's a series that I don't actually own on the Nintendo. I've tried to look for a copy of it, and I have never been able to find it on Nintendo. And here in Mexico, there's a comedian called Capulina that his gimmick is that he has a hat and a mustache, and everyone called this guy El Capulinita, the little Capulina, because it looks so much like him. So it's cool to be able to have Adventure Island, because I really, really like Adventure Island. It's one of the frustrations from my collection is that I don't have it on my collection. But it has that, and that's super cool. So it has Adventure Island all the way through 4. Has Mortal Kombat, Mario 10. This is one that I played and I thought was cool. Is Super Kung Fu Mario Bros. And it has Mario doing his burst impersonation of Shiru from Saint Seiya, training with an old master, Pai Mei probably. And you have your Castlevania style map. And then you have Mario kicking ass. Like, take that, frog! And you have power-ups. And you have a spin kick. Like no jumping on the handle stuff. You mess them up with your karate kung fu kicks. And I saw this and I was like, what the hell? But that's not all. You got that. Mario 10. And then you got Mario 14. And you have this little cinematic of a princess writing a letter. And I'm assuming what's going to come up here are the bad guys, because they kind of look like bad guys. And she sends the letter, and wait for it, to this ninja-looking guy There's like Japanese. I will save you, princess, from these bad guys. And then he turns into Mario. So they justify Mario 14 because they turned the main character into Mario. And they probably replaced all the bad guy sprites with Koopas. But it still looks pretty cool. It's probably a Famicom game that they changed. But I think it looks pretty cool. This is probably like a homebrew. But it has that, and I thought that was amazing when I saw Mario kicking ass. And it has Ninja Gaiden. What's called Shadow Warriors for some reason. And the audio sped up. But it's Ninja Gaiden. It's basically Ninja Gaiden. And the sprites also look different. And just the soundtrack is... Play control doesn't seem that different. Ryu Hayabusa still... Yeah, that's not a knock on the controls. That's just me. I've never been like super good at Ninja Gaiden. Like, I love the game, but yeah, I'm not that good. Which other one I saw that was really cool? Has a Staniax. Oh, has Batman. Has the Sunsoft version of Batman with all the cinematics and everything. And Batman in his purple glory. So I think it's pretty cool. I like the game selection a lot. Oh yeah, that was the brief look at the 620 games that this thing has. It has a lot of really cool ones. I mean, it has all three Ninja Turtles that came out on Nintendo, plus Tournament Fighters, which is a really, really hard game to get on Nintendo. I have it on Super Nintendo. I've never gotten it on Nintendo. It has Contra 1, 2, and Contra Force, which is cool. It has the Tiny Toon Adventure games. It has Ninja Gaidens, all three Ninja Gaidens like you saw. It also has the Famicom-only Transformers game that we never got here, at least not any version that I played. And it also has the Saint Seiya and we know it here in Mexico as Super Campeones, but it's Captain Tsubasa. And that's awesome. I never will get to play those games on Famicom because I don't have a Famicom. And the only thing about the games are that they're in Japanese, and I don't read Japanese, which sucks. But it has some really cool games. It has a lot of Nintendo games. It has a lot of Famicom games. And it has a lot of homebrew hack games. Like that Mario Tiger thing that I showed you. So it has a nice mix of everything. It has a lot of Nintendo ports, Famicom ports, and a lot of homebrews. But this is great. This allows me to play a lot of games that I'll never play. The only thing I wish it would have are the Castlevanias. I wish this thing had the Castlevanias because I love Castlevania. Castlevania's one of my all-time favorite franchises in video games. So I do wish it would have had the Castlevanias at least. That would have been cool. But you got a lot of games in this, and I don't know what the original price for this was. But I think it's a nice alternative. If you already have, like me, if you have the Nintendo Classic, I would still recommend getting this. It's a nice alternative, and it has a lot of games. It has 620 games. A lot of them are repeated. It does repeat a couple of games. Out of the 600, you really only get 620. You only get 620 are repeats. Well, probably a little bit more, but it doesn't matter. Even if you only get 500 original games, it's still 500 games. And those videos that I saw do mention, well, you get the same with a Raspberry Pi. and just download the emulation games and do that, and all the ROMs and everything. But honestly, while I am technically savvy, I'm not that good. And you might have to download stuff from torrents, and that might have viruses, and it's illegal to do that. Well, it depends on who you ask. I think it's illegal. It breaks a lot of intellectual property rights. If you do it, that's you. But I don't agree with that. But this is a nice little alternative. If you're not good with downloading ROMs like me, I don't know how to download ROMs, and I don't want to risk viruses up the ass in my computer. This is a nice alternative. 600, let's say 500 games. 500 original games are cool. And if you want to live experience like me, I would read Club Nintendo, and they would talk about the Captain Tsubasa or the Saint Seiya games. I was like, God damn it, why didn't we get that? And I can play those here. Another omission is the Zelda games. It would have been nice to have the Zelda games here, but it doesn't have Zelda, doesn't have Castlevania. But you do get a lot of good games here. So if you can find it, I would definitely recommend it. Like I said, there's a lot of versions of this. There's the 600 version. There's the 620. There's the 620 with 4 buttons on the controller. And then there's the version that's HDMI. So there's a lot of versions that you can get. So I would recommend it. I would recommend you get this. So again, I want to thank Clowny for sending this to me. I played it with my kids, and my daughter loves it. She wanted to play all the games that she could. Some she couldn't understand. Some because that's the nice thing about Nintendo. The old Nintendo was my gateway into video games. Well, actually, it was probably the gateway to a lot of people because this thing saved the video game. Well, the Nintendo saved the video game. The video game landscape after the big crash from Atari. But I didn't know that at the time. I mean, when my dad got the Nintendo, it was when Santa Claus got us the Nintendo, was a mind-blowing experience. So it's cool that I'm able to share that with my kids, with the original Nintendo console, the NES Classic, and this thing. Actually, if you have kids, this might be a better option. If you don't want to break, your 30-plus old console, and you don't want your kids to destroy your super valuable collector's edition, you can get this. It's still awesome. It's still pretty good, and your kids can play a whole bunch of games and maybe learn English and learn Japanese. So highly recommend this. And again, super thankful that my good pal Clowny sent this my way, because it's pretty cool. And it already had a place with the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, and this one. It's my collection of mini consoles. Didn't get the PlayStation 1 because I didn't like the fact that the controllers weren't analog, and it had games that needed analog, but yeah. So that was my probably long review on the what's it called? The Mini Game Anniversary Edition Entertainment System. Really cool alternative. Just the value of the games that you get to play is worth it. I'm going to do more of these type of reviews. I can do reviews on movies, and Macabro's around now here, but he can only come out at night because I don't want him to scare my kids, which was not an issue in our house because he could record everything in the movie room without being bothered. But yeah, so expect more reviews from me in lieu of not being able to do pickup videos. So let me know if you enjoy that. I was asked if I'm ever going to do the mask collection update, but again, everything is in the house, and until I'm able to move around a little bit more freely with the whole virus thing, that might be on hold. Maybe a weekend I can convince the wife to go to check on the house and really quickly record something. I'll figure something out. But until I see you all again, this was Vargas, thanking you all, hoping everyone is safe. Please take care of yourselves. Please take the necessary precautions, and hopefully we'll be able to make it through this whole thing in one piece. So take care, and I'll see you later.